So I'd like to introduce our second panelist for today, Dr. Alexander Hasgall. Yeah, got it right the second time. He's the head of the EUA Council for Doctoral Education and responsible for the network of more than 200 European universities from 35 countries, dedicated to the further development and strengthening of doctoral education and research training in Europe. Before assuming this position, he coordinated the performance de la recherche and sciences, humanities, and sociales. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm going to have to clearly practice my foreign languages, but it's we're getting there. So sorry, Alex. But this was at a Swiss university, a rectors conference, and was based at the University of Geneva. In this role, he was responsible for a collaborative program of all Swiss universities on the impact and evaluation of research in the humanities and social sciences. Alexander studied philosophy and history at the University of Zurich and the Free University of Berlin. And outside of the higher education sector, Alexander acquired different experiences in the NGO sector, market research, and also as a freelance journalist. So to that end, I'd like to invite Alexander up and to give us a short presentation on his topic of choosing. Maybe if you want to stand here and I'll take
No, thank you so much. The topic of choosing, there's a lot of topic I would now talk, but I guess we should talk about digitalization.
space for you.
Wonderful. So yes, so first of all, thank you so much, especially the ReMO action. I think I know it since the first day, and it's always great to see what's going on. And this is this nice conference. I think it's an important part. So I was asked to provide more of an opening statement, so I will not share a formal presentation for this time. And as you also nicely have introduced, the main focus of my work is doctoral education, but I was actually invited to talk, which I think is really also fascinating, about more issues like digitally enhanced learning and teaching. So while doctoral education is usually not really seen as part of this, what we call now L&T, it's definitely something we work a lot at EUA, and of course there are connections to the doctorate, and also EUA, which I'm part, so EUACD is part of the European University Association, has actually been part of a major project, the DGHE project, which actually looks exactly into this topic. So, and just some days ago, actually a final report of this project came out, which you will find on the EUA website. So first of all, when I was looking into the whole question of digital learning and teaching, so first of all, university or higher education as such needs to be seen that it has a major role and responsibility as part of its research and education mission to anticipate and explore smart and responsible and ethical use of technical technologies towards the graduates, but also towards the society at large. So when we speak here about digitally anything, it's not only that we talk about the tool we use or not, we talk about our contribution to one of the major societal development. Now in this project, so one of the first thought which has been developed is this importance of having a comprehensive institutional strategy. So not only seeing digital tools, digital learning as one tool you use here and there, but really thinking what can be a strategy, and also here first to think what do we have. So a lot of university have, of course, worked a lot already in here, but there are strengths and weaknesses. So first point, the importance of self-assessment, of understanding what does a university has is quite important. And when we look in the project, there was also a survey asking universities, is digital learning a strategic priority? And 70% said yes, and 88% have institutional strategies. And these are numbers even before the pandemic and pre-ChatGPT numbers. So it's getting even higher. Third point is the idea or the need to have holistic approaches to all of this. I already mentioned, so technology seeing as something going beyond using only tool. It needs to encompass significant, substantial resources, engagement, strategic planning, and strong leadership. As said, it needs to permeate the whole institutions, including core operations, their curricula, and also the support services. So it's not an element which can be just reduced to it. And also the importance to speak about long-term sustainability. And of course, we have here a little bit the challenge when we just think a year ago from now, how much has changed. So discussing how you can, on one hand, be flexible, adapting to specific needs, but at the same time having a very long-term approach is important. Then the fifth, and it was already mentioned in the Q&A, is also the question of discipline. So there is a tendency to see technology as something technological for people who are working into this field, but of course it has a very strong social and collective dimension. So just to give an example, of course, the building of digital communities as a key element of digital learning and teaching. But of course, communities is not a question purely of algorithm, it's a question of societal elements. And also the question, of course, we discussed today, mental health is not purely or is something which needs different kind of professional, different kind of discipline. So we can see all the debates on digital learning and teaching also as actually an incubator, as strengthening discussions about interdisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity, and better understand what we need. Now, of course, there are obstacles we also see, and this project has identified some of this obstacle, and there are actually two. One is the lack of staff resources. So you need also additional staff or staff which has been trained to do this. And you need also sustainable funding opportunities. And before, and everybody who has done events know this very well. So I remember a couple of years ago, the idea was to say, okay, let's do it digital, it's cheaper and easier and faster. And now, especially when we do hybrid events, and this is one, so I'm sure the organizer know it, it's not cheaper, it's not easier, but it can be more impactful. So seeing events or digitalization as a cheap substitute for personal, so kind of, oh, you are depressive, we don't want to pay a healthcare professional, so just use this digital technology. This is not work. So we have, we can promote, contribute a lot, but of course it's not for saving money, it's really to enhancing the offer. Another point is this no one fits it all. We are not, the needs can be quite different depending of the contexts where you are, on the culture which you have in institution, on the disciplines I meant, but also on the infrastructure. We need to be somehow flexible. We need to understand the lack of prediction. And then what we also need, and this is what we are doing here, the importance of sector-wide exchanges. We cannot invent the wheel in every institution at the same time. We need to learn from each other's success and challenges, sharing best practice and exploring shared result. And all this is just possible with what we can call a buy-in by staff and students or researchers in doctoral education, because if it's seen as something external and people do not really see this as an opportunity, then all your activities will be a bit not so successful. It also needs, we need people who are in teaching roles, and we talked about the importance of training, experience in teaching role, also a level of self-confidence and skills. So we need to use also, or spend some time to talk to people about what this can bring to them, this kind of technologies, but also what enables them to do so. Another point here in this context is, of course, the ethical. Now, and this is all something, when I talk later about doctoral education, is something we say, there is no technological discussion without ethical questions about it. When we speak about education, education is basically about developing autonomy for people, enabling people to think themselves, to be actors in this society. So what does this mean in the use of technology are questions we need to speak about. What about privacy? What about democracy? And we had actually it was more about research ethics, a webinar or online meeting a month ago where we discussed a lot, well, about AI. Should we ban it or should we love it, to say like this? And it's probably nobody can seriously at the moment thinking we can ban this kind of technologies or saying it's too dangerous, because it's happening and it has plenty, as mentioned, of positive impact, but we need to discuss about where can be limits, and especially how can we better understand what we are doing here. So this is just some points I wanted to talk about digital learning and teaching. I could talk now about doctoral education. Now I ask the chair, should we go this in a second round? Yes. Okay, so we'll come back to that. So this short introduction. Thank you very much.